Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today I'm continuing my series ranking Doctor Who from worst to best. Now, this was a list that had 426 entries on it, but we're in the top 100 at this point. Today we're going to be talking about number 75 through number 51. So we're up to the good ones now, where we are in the top 100, almost hitting the top 50. Lots of good stuff on the list here. Really excited about this one. And we're going to start with number 75. And that is Flatline, one of the Peter Capaldi stories. I really enjoy Flatline. I would have never thought of this as an idea, but villainous entities from the 2D plane venturing into the 3D plane and adapting to it. It's fascinating to watch that progression over the course of the episode as they're learning and adapting and changing. The special effects used for them look really neat, especially at the end when they're moving is really neat. And the way it sidelines the Doctor while still keeping the Doctor in the story, so Clara kind of has to take point. And I actually like the way it's done here. I think Jenna Coleman does really good here. I mean, she's usually good performing Clara. I don't always like how Clara's written, but she's written really well here. And I still like the banter between her and the Doctor. The Doctor of Lies. I like that. And how the Doctor is... It's interesting, those stories where the Doctor's there, but he's kind of cut off and can't help directly, when he kind of has to help over the phone, or kind of like the way he has to help in Blink, or the way he has to help in Hudson Media's The Amalgamation Factor, when he's not there in person and he's just having to basically give advice and do what he can. It is really well done. I like the ending and how they resolve it, and I love the Doctor's speech at the end, the man who stops the monsters. It's got really good visuals, a really good story, and it feels uniquely Doctor Who. This is the kind of thing that, the only other thing I could have seen it in would have been like the Twilight Zone, which I love the Twilight Zone, so that it works really well with that. Really taking that idea of doing something different. Next on the list is the Brain of Morbius from the legendary season 13 of classic Doctor Who. Doctor Who does Frankenstein. This is another solid good one. Definitely B to A tier. Of course, it's always nice to have Philip Maddock back. He's always great when he shows up in Doctor Who, and he's great as the Doctor in this. I love the set design. I like the idea of the Sisterhood of Karn and how we've seen them come back. Elizabeth Sladen has some great performances in here. The scenes when she's having to act like she's blind is really well done. Tom Baker's got some great lines in here. It's a solid gothic horror feeling story. One of the weaker stories of season 13, but it would be like the killer app story of most seasons. It is phenomenally well done. Also, I like Morbius as a villain a lot. I would love to see Morbius come back. Not under the current leadership. We don't need the current leadership touching classic Doctor Who villains. But maybe if we get in some better leadership with the modern series and they could bring Morbius back and it actually feel like Morbius, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Next on the list is the Smugglers. I love the Smugglers. I do. I don't know what it is. I tend to like Doctor Who pirate stories. Even if they're not like S tier, I tend to like them. The Smugglers is enjoyable to me. I love the novelization. I love the Telesnap Recon. I've watched the Telesnap Recon more than once. I find it very enjoyable and very easy to get through. Would love for it to get animated. I mean, we've had animation rumors about it for years now. Would love for it to get animated. I like the cast in it. I mean, it's just a good story. I mean, I love the novelization of it as well. I think I read the novelization before I saw the reconstruction, and I enjoyed the novelization. I just really clicked with these characters. And so I like everything about it. Ben and Polly tricking the one guy because he's a bit superstitious and letting him go. I like Captain Pike. The actor playing him is good. The actor playing his kind of second-in-command, Cherub, is good. The guy playing the kind of town mayor you can't trust is good, which he's He's in another Doctor Who episode. My mind is slipping at the moment, but he's in another. I believe he plays the Marshal in The Mutants. Maybe he's good. I like him. It's just a solid story. I really enjoy the Smugglers. It doesn't get enough credit. Next on the list is the Architect of History, or is it the Architects of History? This is the final story in the Klein trilogy, which is a 7th Doctor audio set. And this is quite possibly Sylvester McCoy's defining story in the role. I mean, even though it's just audio, he nails it. I love this story. This story takes place quite a ways after the previous story, which I think was Survival of the Fittest. There's a gap. And you never quite know what's going on, who's 3 steps ahead here, Klein or the 7th Doctor, who's playing who. You have another companion that's not a companion. You have another guy who kind of just doesn't want to be there. I think Sam is his name. Interesting note that when I reviewed this audio, the voice actor who actually voices it, I think his name is Sam in the story. The voice actor who voiced him watched the review and left a comment saying that he appreciated the review. He doesn't normally watch reviews for stuff like that, but that he had watched my review and really enjoyed it, which he did a really good job in the role. I think that was one of the things I mentioned in the reviews. I really liked him in the role. He's playing quite the complex character. You have mechanoid sharks, so sharks that are in armor that let them walk around. You know, kind of like the Jadoon, but with sharks in metal suits. That's a cool idea. Why not? That's terrifying. And then, again, I've always liked Klein as a character. She's a fascinating character. The actress who voices her is great. And again, Sylvester McCoy is on his A game in this. I love the way this story started. I love the way it flowed, and I loved the ending of it. It's one of the best 7th Doctor stories I've ever heard. I'm actually looking forward to going back and listening to it again sometime. The Architect's History, which is the final story in the Klein trilogy. Solid, solid Doctor Who. Next on the list is Can You Hear Me? I enjoy this 13th Doctor story. The performances are really good. I especially like the 2 actors playing the 2 gods, who of course play their characters very differently, but they're 2 very different types of gods. And both actors play their respective ones really well. Now, we spend more time with the male one, so I like him a little more. I love the conversation he has with the 13th Doctor, when she's like, but that person's just a legend. He's like, I blush. The reference to the Toymaker, the reference to the Eternals. It's a nice scene. I like that we get more backstory with our guest. We get to see Graham at home dealing with the loss of Grace. We get to see Ryan realizing he's missing out on spending time with his mates, and that, his life around him is moving on without him. We get some backstory with Yaz. We get some character development with Yaz that's really, really interesting and well done. And I enjoy the climax. Now, the one thing that's a little silly for me is the bit where she hacks the fingers to stop them. I do think that's a little Deus Machina, a little plot convenient, a little, really? When she hacks the fingers at the end and uses them against the gods, that's, this thing doesn't work on wood. You can't open a wooden door with it, but you can hack the fingers of gods. I mean, there's a huge plot hole there, and that part always bugs me. But, there's a little twist partway through that I like. I didn't see it coming the first time. And then I love the ending. I think Whittaker's best moment in the role might be the ending of this story, when she confronts the gods, when she's basically, I like how she's not intimidated by them. Like the best doctors, like Tom Baker, like David Tennant, Peter Capaldi, William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee. The Doctor at his best when he's facing all these things that are way more powerful than he is, and he or she is not fazed in the slightest. And she's not. The 13th Doctor's not. She stands toe-to-toe with him. And that whole bit of dialogue between them when she's like, I mean, she almost says, "Puny God." Puny gods. I like how she stops them. I like the confidence she has that I often accuse this Doctor of not having. She has it in force here, that confidence, and she sells it, and Jodie Whittaker sells it in that scene, and it's a really good ending. So it's a solid story that I find very enjoyable. Next on the list is the Celestial Toymaker, which is higher than I would have expected it to be. I think a lot of it is the animation helping it out. I do really like the animation for this. Now, this animation, the Celestial Toymaker animation, wouldn't work for most stories. Like if you animated The Crusade or the Daleks Master Plan or something like that with this animation, the Highlanders or something, would not work. It would not work. But because of the surreal fantasy nature of this story that takes place in this fantasy toy-centric universe, this animation works. I can firmly believe in my headcanon that them traveling into this universe has made everything look like this, that this is how everything works there. And once again, they don't try to be slavishly accurate to how the story was originally made, when of course the original story was very hindered by its production budget. And watching the surviving episode, which I do enjoy, episode 4, and the recons for episodes 1, 2, and 3, which are a slog to get through, you can tell that the execution and budget of the story does not live up to the ideas of the story itself. Whereas with the animation, they take the creative liberties, much like with Macra, but even more so, and really lean into the whole fantasy aspect of this, where the Toymaker can change his size, where he can, be the bird on the clock coming out, making the rag dolls look like actual dolls, making the card characters look like actual cards, making the other toys look like the actual toys, making the booth room for the game look like an actual car and adding in the beep noises. It helps this story a lot. It really does. It just adds so much to it. The animation used for the Toymaker works really well. I can see Michael Goff in that. And the audio performances are good. I love Michael Goff's performance. I love William Hartnell's performance. I like the back and forth between them a bit. It's got Carmen in it, and I like her a lot. From LOLO, I like her as an actor. It's nice that she's in this story. It's definitely a lot with the animation. Now, I like the black and white animation. I like the color animation. I think I prefer the color animation, but they're both good. I only have a couple nitpicks with episode 4. Like, my favorite scene in the whole story is that scene at the end when the Doctor and the Toymaker are standing toe-to-toe, and the Doctor's, "Oh no, you almost got me there. Make your last move, Doctor. Make your last move." That surviving scene is phenomenally good, and it sucks that in the animation they do that kind of drawn away when you see the "make your last move, Doctor. Make your last move." It's done as this far away shot, whereas much more personal in the surviving episode when it's cutting back and forth between the close-ups of them. It's much more personal that way. So that's really my only issue with the animation. My preferred method of watching this story is I watch episodes 1 through 4 animated, and then I go back and watch the surviving episode 4. I just like it that way. That works for me. And it has a really nice ending. And I like how the Doctor outsmarts him at the end. I love it when the Doctor wins by thinking. Not brute force, not just blowing up half the Daleks or all the Daleks or whatever, but I like that. Like he does here. Much like he does in Pyramids of Mars, and like he does here. Thinks his opponent. Next on the list is Victory of the Daleks. I love Victory of the Daleks. Yes, I know it's an inferior version of Power of the Daleks. I know. First off, love the guy playing Churchill. I always like him. He's such a good Churchill. I like him just as an actor in general. He makes a very good Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, for example. I like him. So it's good to see him in this. The guy playing the professor who built the Daleks, he's good. I like Matt Smith in this a lot. He still has this kind of darker edge. I love Series 5 Matt Smith. He's very good in this. I like how he's not afraid of the Daleks, but at the same time, I love that rage he has when he sees the Daleks, like when he's beating the Daleks. I like how the Daleks trick him, and he falls for it. That he needs that they need his testimony, so they show up on Earth threatening it, knowing it'll get his attention, and they trick him. I actually don't mind the Paradigm Daleks. I used to not like them back when this originally aired, but I don't mind them. It's a shame we never got to see their secondary weapon features. I know each one was supposed to have had a secondary weapon feature. It's a shame we never saw that, but I like the idea of Daleks, being color-coded to what their job is, like the engineer, the leader, the worker. That's a neat idea for me. Kind of makes me think of the Cushing movies a little bit. So it's a shame the Paradigm Daleks didn't last longer. I mean, they could have refined them a little bit more to make them look less like toys, but I still like the idea, and I like the fact they were taller. I like the showdown between them when he uses the Jammy Dodger. That's such a Doctor thing to do. The first half of this episode, I think, for a lot of people is pretty good. I think a lot of people like it. It's pretty much, I think, when the Paradigm Daleks show off is when it starts to go off for some people. My biggest issue, and it's the one thing that my willing suspension of disbelief has problems with, is the World War II planes in space. That's just silly. I can't take that seriously. When he's like, Danny boy, and they're in space flying the world. What? That's ludicrous. I mean, I let it slide. It's Doctor Who. Why not? But it's so ludicrous that you can make a World War II plane operate in space where there's no air even. Also, I love the idea of Churchill and the Doctor being old buddies. Just like old drinking buddies or something. Like, Churchill's not even surprised about him. He knows all about regeneration. You got your another face. Okay, this one's not so bad. I just like the idea of them being chummy like that. I don't know why, but I love that as an idea. And even at the end, when he's trying to nip the TARDIS key, and Amy's like, give it back, and he's like, yeah, I got it. I don't know. She's a clever one, Doctor. Keep a hold of her. It just, something about that I like. And the fact that he lets the professor get away, even though he's potentially a bomb. Yes, I'll be back here to dismantle everything in 10 minutes, and lets the guy leave. I enjoy Victory of the Daleks. It has its flaws, but I like it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. Next on the list is School Reunion, the return of Sarah Jane Smith. I'm glad that as early as Series 2, they were making this connective tissue with the classic series. And of course, if you're going to bring a classic companion back, it needs to be Sarah Jane, who is the companion. And Elizabeth Sladen is just so good in the role. Not only does she slip back into being Sarah Jane Smith just effortlessly, but playing this older Sarah Jane, who does have those kind of regrets. She never got married. She doesn't have kids. She misses traveling with the Doctor. It handles all of that really well. The way the antagonism between her and Rose is written is well done, and how they bond. I love the scene when they're bonding. Does he still stroke parts of the TARDIS? And then even the argument before the Loch Ness Monster. Really? It's funny. It's got, Jules or Giles or whatever his name is from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who also, of course, played Arthur's dad in Merlin. It's got him in it. He's great as the principal. The bat creatures, the CGI has not aged well. The CGI on the bat creatures needs some updating, let's be honest. But that's a small nitpick. I love seeing K9 back. It's always wonderful to have John back as K9. And the scene when K9 gets blown up. Even though there's several K9s running around, and we even get another one at the end of the episode, it's K9, Beautiful scene. Some of the conversations between the school headmaster and the Doctor are really nice. If I don't like it, it will stop. You get one warning. That was it. I love that. And then that scene between the Doctor and Rose about, you can spend the rest of your life with me, but I can't spend the rest of my life with you. Very good scene. The scene between... I love that scene when Sarah finds the TARDIS. And then that camera pan to where you see Tennant standing behind her. Wonderful camera work. And then she realizes who it is, and they have that I like that as well. I can't believe it. And then you hear that scream. Okay, now I can. It's got a lot of wonderful, wonderful moments in it. The episode itself looks a little rough. Series 1 and 2 sometimes looks like it's got Vaseline smeared all over the camera. I don't know why. I don't know what it is with how with the camera techniques or the cameras or something they used, where everything looks a little blurry. But other than that, it's a solid It's a solid two-parter. A great way to bring Sarah back into Doctor Who lore, and to kind of launch the Sarah Jane Adventures, which was hugely popular in its own right. Next on the list is Rose, the first episode of the modern series. Rose had so much it had to do. A lot of whether Doctor Who, the reboot, would succeed or fail, or I should say, let's just say reboot for lack of a better term. It had so much it had to do. And we have to remember that when Series 1 was being made and airing, nobody knew if it was going to be a success or not. Would it succeed and bring Doctor Who back like it was in its prime, or would it be like the TV movie where it just kind of faded away again? Rose had to really hit the gate running. And it does. They were smart by not doing like the TV movie, bringing in an old doctor and showing a regeneration. Instead, it hits the gate running. It introduces us to Rose, who is, of course, kind of the audience's proxy character into this universe. Keeping in mind, this was also introducing Doctor Who to a whole new generation. Rose would be the first episode of Doctor Who that a lot of people ever saw. And it does a good job of getting you pumped, getting you amped, getting the adrenaline going. The first time you see the Doctor, it's just him going, run, run. And then him, yeah, he's dead. Wilson's dead. Oh, yeah, aliens are possibly dead. No, good guess, but no. Oh, I'm the Doctor, by the way. What's your name? Rose. Oh, Rose, nice to meet you. Run for your life. I love all of that. Seeing the TARDIS. Eccleston does such a good job balancing the seriousness and the humor, and he can switch between them on the fly. Like the bit when he's looking for the round thing, the wheel's right behind him. Where? It must be, I just can't find it. What? That's funny. Him confronting the Nestine consciousness at the end. Bringing back a classic villain, but not like one of the main classic villains. Like the Autons are, of course, a classic villain, but we only saw them a couple times in Classic Who. And it's interesting how Spearhead from Space and Rose mirror each other, because they do. They're very similar in many ways. Again, some of the effects have aged. The fake Mickey getting swallowed by the garbage can, even the Nestine consciousness. But it's solid, and it does a good job of introducing us to Rose's family, her boyfriend, her mother, and really getting you invested in her as a character and trying to figure out this new Doctor, or if it was the first episode you watched, kind of getting you introduced to who the Doctor is, or if you're someone who came from Classic Who, how different this Doctor is. Rose hit the gate running. It really did. Next on the list is Image of the Fendahl, which, in my opinion, isn't quite as good as the sum of its parts, but it's still very enjoyable, which is why it ranks this high. The idea is fantastic, and I truly believe that the Fendahl is a dangerous threat that can wipe out humanity. I can see why the Doctor is so intent on stopping it. The location work looks nice, especially the night shoots. Creepy, atmospheric. Leela is great in this. Tom Baker is great in this. I tend to like the guest cast. I think Wanda is really good at being, of course, the professor who's being slowly possessed. But then once she transforms into the Fendahl, her performance is good. I don't really care for the makeup on her. I wish it had been done better, especially the eyes. Something about painted on eyes always bothers me. I really think there is some spots at the end where this could use some updated effects. And the end result, I don't quite buy the threat. I mean, the dialogue communicates the threat well, but the fact she's just kind of standing around pointing and appearing and reappearing before she gets blown up, we don't really get that full danger. Like, I'm not convinced of that full danger the way I am with, say, Sutekh in Pyramids of Mars, where I'm completely sold on it there. I'm not quite sold on it here. I mean, I get it, because the dialogue, again, communicates it well, But it just seems like, in my headcanon, she still wasn't up to full power yet. Like, she was still building up to full power when he managed to blow her up. That's my headcanon. Because nothing that happened, I'm not seeing the threat that I'm being told that there is. And again, I don't really care for that gold makeup with the eyes. Wanda does great stuff with it. But just those painted on eyes bother me. I like the guest cast. I think they're good. And I like the fact the Doctor actually has to shoot that one thing to kill it, even if it's not the most convincing effect either. But the story makes up for it. The story is solid. A lot of the filming techniques, especially in the first 2 or 3 episodes, looks really good. It's a solid, scary story. Kind of, even though it's in season 15, it's like it was giving us one last Hinchcliffe era story before that faded away to the Williams era completely. And next on the list is Ghostlight. Now, I'm sure most people who watch Ghostlight the first time, they're like, what the heck's going on in Ghostlight? That's understandable. Ghostlight for me is so high just because it's executed so well on screen. I love the atmosphere of the story. It just oozes with atmosphere. The tension, the quiet lighting, the low lighting. It just has a personality all of its own, which I like. Tonally, I just love the tone of this story so much. Again, you have a great cast. The guy playing Ebenezer, or whatever his name is, Jebediah, whatever his name is. The actress playing the wife, the actress playing the daughter. There's something off about all of them where there's just something where if you were sitting down to dinner with them, you'd be like, don't know if I should eat this. The guy playing the cop, which is a bit two-dimensional, is fine. The guy playing the reverend or whatever, again, two-dimensional is fine. The guy playing the kind of primate guy is good. The actress playing Control is good. The guy playing Light is good. The special effects for Light are really good. Light looks great in this. That's pretty impressive for Classic Who. He looks quite impressive. I like the fact that Sylvester McCoy doesn't wear his hat much in this story. For some reason, he just doesn't have his hat on. It's neat seeing Ace have to fight her fears. You get a lot of companion development with Ace. I really like, a lot of people will tell you Ace is kind of the template we would get from Modern Who companions with Rose and such. And I like a lot of the backstory we get for Ace. It's really well done. And seeing her come to grips with a lot of her own fears in this story, with this house specifically, Sophie does a great job portraying that. Sylvester has a couple points when he kind of goes into that fake acting, fake voice, like when he's confronting Light, and I'm like, stop that, Sylvester, stop that. But for the most part, he's good, aside from that occasional moment, he's solid. It's a great story. I mean, the story itself is good, a bit confusing at times, but good. And especially how it deals with things like evolution and how every time Light thinks he has things cataloged, it's changing because of evolution. How it's driving him nuts. That's interesting to me. But it's more the execution of it. I just love the tone of the story, the atmosphere of the story. It's just immaculately put together. Next on the list is Terror of the Zygons. Season 13 again. Of course, originally filmed to be the ending story of season 12. It was moved to the beginning of season 13. Great way to start a season. This is a solid story. Still the best Zygon story we've ever gotten. The story itself is nice. Again, shape-shifting aliens, which gives some of our actors a chance to play different characters, like watching Ian get to play Evil Harry. And the scene when Sarah confronts Evil Harry in the barn is a great scene. Some great camera work in that scene, especially that shot of Harry when he's kind of in the darkness. Great shot. The Zygons themselves are designed well. Love their outfit. Their spaceship. Love the inner look of their spaceship. Immaculately well made. And I like that it pulls off that organic look better than the Claws of Axos does. I never really cared for the interior of that ship. It's not bad. But I think Terror of the Zygons pulls it off better. I think the special effects for the Zygons look really good. I think the Zygons have some really good looking special effects. I really like that. The Loch Ness Monster is what I'm thinking of. The Loch Ness Monster looks really good. I don't think you needed updated effects there. And you can see since they only updated like 3 shots. What a waste. But I never minded the original effects. I was fine with them. I like the final confrontation. I'm happy seeing the Brigadier and Benton back again. That's great. Some good cliffhangers in there as well. It's a solid story. Again, that gothic horror feel. And it's one of the reasons why season 13 is arguably the best Doctor Who season of all time. And next on the list is The Web of Fear. Another classic. One of the top Troughton stories, I think most people would agree, from the legendary season 5, which a lot of people say that is Troughton's best season. The only thing really holding Web of Fear back is that missing episode 3, which is frustrating. The Telesnap Recon is fine. The animation's not great, but watching it in black and white with the surviving episodes is tolerable. It's not as bad. But if the episode 3 could be found, it really would bump this story up a little bit, because it would definitely make it a choice for people not familiar with classic Who or 60s Who. It would become a much more optimal choice for them. These set designs look really good. The tunnels. I mean, they actually got in trouble for shooting in those tunnels because people thought they'd actually went to those tunnels. They built the sets so well. It has a nice, scary atmosphere to it. The black and white really lends itself to that, I feel. I do like the tone of it. The Yeti look great. It's nice to see Jack Watling back as Trevor's again. Patrick Troughton's great. Fraser Hines is great. I really like The Web of Fear. I really like the introduction of the Brigadier. It's such a shame that's in episode 3, which we don't have. But it's a wonderful introduction to the Brigadier, who's only a colonel in this story, but it's so nice to see Lethbridge Stewart immediately becoming an iconic character. I liked the captain in this too. I think his name might have been Rex. I wish he had lived. I liked him quite a bit and would like to have seen more of him. The guy playing the staff sergeant, who they just call Staff, is great. I like how he plays the part in this as well. The shootout scene between the unit, well, they're not unit soldiers, but the military soldiers and the Yeti is well shot, very enjoyable. And seeing the Brigadier have to deal with the fact he's the only person who made it out of there, I'd have some survivor's guilt. But, you know, he rolls with it because he has to. And it has a really good ending, which I enjoy. And then it's really creepy at the beginning when you don't know what's going on and you're just seeing the city with the cobwebs on everything. You don't know what happened, trying to figure out what's going on. And eerie. Really good episode. Next on the list is For to Doomsday. I'm a big fan of Doors to Doomsday? Doors to Foomsday? Next on the list is For to Doomsday. I'm a big fan of For to Doomsday. I think I like it maybe more than most. Completely studio bound, very enjoyable. I like the actors playing the big 3, the main bad guy, I can't remember his name, and then Enlightenment and whoever the other one is. I like all 3 of them. I like the fact we learned Tegan can draw really well. Now they take their drawings and how they turn themselves into the drawings, basically. Is really well done. Monarch, I think, is the main bad guy's name, right? He's good. I like the actor playing him. I like the look of him. Adric's a little annoying in this one because he doesn't know which side to take, and you're like... I find Adric a little annoying in this one. I like that we get to see the Doctor use the Sonic some, because the 5th Doctor doesn't have the Sonic long, so it's nice to see him get some uses of it in here. I like his reaction when he first steps out on the ship and sees the camera watching him, and all he does is grin. He just has that excited grin on his face. I like that shot. The studio sets look good. I mean, nothing necessarily mind-blowing, but good. I like the cliffhanger when the guy reveals himself to be a robot. This is me. The little face effect isn't perfect, but it's fine. But that whole bit about this is me, it's a good cliffhanger. The bit when the Doctor's out in space is very classic Who budget effect, but it works just fine. The musical numbers do go on a little too long, but overall, I think it's executed pretty well on screen. And I do like the story a lot. And so that's why it's up this high. Next on the list is Night of the Doctor, the wonderful mini episode we got in 2013 as part of the 50th anniversary celebrations we got in the lead up to Day of the Doctor. What a nice surprise this was. Not only to get a mini episode kind of leading in, but that they brought Paul McGann back as the 8th Doctor, that we got to see the 8th Doctor back on the screen, even if it was a computer screen. But we actually got more video footage of the 8th Doctor, and first off, Paul McGann kills it. He's absolutely great in the role. He slips back into the role like he's never been gone, and in a way he never has, because he's been doing the audios all these years, but he just is the 8th Doctor. But he is a little more battle-worn, a little more battle-weary, Time War-weary, which works really well with him. The actress playing Cass or whatever her name is, she's good. We don't get a lot of time with her, but she makes the most of the time she has. And the actress playing the kind of leader of the Karn women, she's good in this. I like her, very convincing. And you know, the story kind of has two halves. You have the half taking part on the ship, and then the half taking part on Karn. And I like that. I like how it leads into the episode. I'm a doctor, but probably not the one you were expecting, which is also a nice nod and wink to the audience, because who was expecting Paul McGann? And he owns the role. I like that little bit where he could have left, but he wasn't. I'm not leaving here without you. Personally, I would have gotten the TARDIS, materialized the TARDIS on the other side of the door. But then again, it is tricky to steer, so. And I love that bit when he first gets woken up. He's like, 4 minutes, that's ages. What if I get bored? You know, bring me knitting. I like that. I like the snark in that. The keeper of the flame of utter boredom. Eternal youth, that's the one. Or eternal life, that's the one. I love that. I like how they do the regeneration. I like that he starts his regeneration standing up and ends it laying down as kind of a hybrid between classic and modern regenerations, where he starts it up and ends it on the ground. And then the way they did the post-regeneration with it being the War Doctor was clever. With you seeing it kind of from his point of view, not seeing his face. Then you see his face in the reflection when it's the younger version of John Hurt. So you know when he first regenerated, he was younger. And I've seen some wonderful fan edits using footage of John Hurt as a younger War Doctor. And then the music in it was really nice. I know it's only like, 8 or 9 minutes long. But it crams a lot into that 8 minutes. And to get not only Paul McGann back, but to get his definitive regeneration, just so we have that, is fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. A wonderful episode. Well performed, well written, well executed. And I'm glad we got it. Next on the list is Terror of the Umpety-Ums, which is a 13th Doctor short story written by Stephen Moffat that came out during the pandemic lockdown, and it's really, really good. I don't want to go too much into this one because I don't want to spoil it, because I want you to go read it. You can look it up, just Terror of the Umpety-Ums. You can find it. It's not even a long read. It's not like a full novel or something. It's just a short story. It's really good. It's one of the best I've ever seen the 13th Doctor, which further proves that, especially when you have the 13th Doctor in expanded media, she can be written very well. She's written very well in this. She really feels like the Doctor. Our main character, who isn't the Doctor, is an interesting character, and it's neat what is done with them. And then the Doctor feels like the Doctor. The 13th Doctor very much feels like the Doctor. I love the end of this story. I didn't see it coming at the time, so when I got to it, I was like, that's a Doctor Who story. I love where it took this story. I love how it ends this story. It's always nice to go back and reread it, maybe once a year or so. Very well done, Stephen Moffat. Very well done. Next on the list is Out of Time, Part 1. Now, I haven't listened to all of the Out of Times yet, but I loved Out of Time Part 1, which of course has the 10th Doctor meeting the 4th Doctor in this kind of cathedral that's like outside of time and space. And it's really neat. I don't remember all of the specifics. It's been a while since I listened to it. I actually listened to it while listening to Josh Schneer's wonderful animation with them synced up together. And his animation's fantastic. It's nice to have those visuals with the story. And of course the Daleks are invading the cathedral, and the 4th Doctor and 10th Doctor have to work together. And one of the things I love about it is, one, the story's just well written. And two, I love how well the 4th and 10th Doctor get along. I mean, David Tennant and Tom Baker are in wonderful form here. And it's just neat watching their doctors interact. Because of course, 10 knows who 4 is immediately. And he's trying to keep 4 from figuring it out, but because 4 is the GOAT, he figures it out. There's even a part in there when he's like, and I know who you are. He's right in the middle of a sentence when he just throws in, and I know who you are, and you weren't going to tell me. And they have a wonderful conversation about regeneration later that I really liked, about how, and even when I'm not me, I'll no longer me, I'll still be me. Basically, the 4th Doctor really leaning into the classic Doctor Who way of regeneration, where even though I might have a different body, I'm still going to be me. So even when I'm you, I'm still me. I'm still the Doctor. It really is, aside from, again, me enjoying the story, and the companion that's kind of working with him, that kind of has a companion in this. I like her as well. But it's really just the fact that 4 and 10, I really like the relationship between them and how they bounce off each other. And a lot of that's down to the writing, and a lot of that's down to David and Tom's performance, but it made it a very enjoyable story for me. I need to listen to the other 2 parts at some point. Next on the list is Castrovalva, Peter Davison's favorite story, and what for a long time was my favorite 5th Doctor episode, actually. Not anymore, I think, but it's still one I'm fond of. I especially like the version on the Season 19 box set that has the updated special effects. That's all I really think this story ever needed, was some updated special effects, and the updated special effects are great. They really, really bumped the story. I like the story itself. I like some of the themes it deals with. I love the scene when he asks him where the Retrieve's house is, and he's like, here, here, and here, and how even the guy's like, wait, that can't be right. I like the stuff with the Zero Room. I love Peter Davison going through previous incarnations. He pulls it off really well, especially the 1st and 2nd Doctors. I think he does impersonations of them well. I like the location work, which was, of course, the surviving film elements survive, so the location work looks gorgeous. I love the reveal of the Retrieve being the Master, because I didn't see that coming. That actually had me fooled. Anthony Ainley had done such a good job playing the Retrieve that the first time I didn't know that was coming, so I always give props to that. Like I said, it's a little weird and wonky at times, but I like it. It's a solid start to the 5th Doctor era. Next on the list is Mark of the Rani, which is my favorite 6th Doctor story from the actual television series. So this is the highest one from the TV series of his. The only 6th Doctor historical. I enjoy it. I love the incidental music. This one has really good incidental music, and that always sticks in my head. I think Kate O'Mara is fantastic as the Rani in this. And I like having the Master in this too, because it really does show that even though they're both evil Time Lords, that the Rani isn't just a female version of the Master. She is a very different type of Time Lord. How she's more, whereas the Master is brain and brawn. She's very much the brain, but very much the brain. She doesn't like to directly get involved. She kind of stays in the shadows. The old woman makeup on her looked pretty good, although it's kind of odd that once she takes it off, she never puts it back on. But I love Kate O'Mara's performance. I love Anthony Ainley's performance too, to be honest. I don't really like the bit with the tree. That's a little... And then the whole scene when he's like, I need you to eat this sweet meat. Because that always sounds weird, let's be honest. I'm always over there going... But the whole bit with that character and him turning into the tree is... But I enjoy the cliffhanger to part 1. I like, again, the location work looks really good. And I enjoy the ending a lot. And then I love... when the 6th Doctor sabotages her TARDIS because she's overhearing them talking, and when they leave, and he just walks up to the console holding like a screwdriver in his hand, and he just grins. He's like, because he just gets this look on his face like, oh boy, I get to tinker and break this. He has that look on his face like, if I do it, I get a whooping. I do it. it's such a little thing, but that grin on his face is just, that could be my favorite part of the episode. It's a solid Sixth Doctor story. Next on the list is the colorized, cut-down version of the War Games. Well, the War Games in color. Now, of course, the regular version of the War Games will be higher on the list. I do prefer it. But I think the colorized version of the War Games is nice. It is a good watch. First off, the colorization looks phenomenal. This is some of the best colorization I have ever seen. Like, especially some of the location shots at the beginning, which were the original film elements which they found. You wouldn't even know that was originally done in black and white. It looks that good. It looks like it was just shot in color. It looks good. And you can see the difference between having the original film elements and then them just having to use film elements that were transferred to videotape that only 16mm film telerecordings exist of. There's a huge difference. Huge difference. And it's neat that this project is part of what caused those film elements coming to light. I think it's basically about 3 minutes worth of footage, most of which is from episode 1, and a little bit of which is from the beginning of episode 2, which is quite fascinating. But I love the colorization. The music enhancements are fine and don't really bother me. The movie edit is okay. I mean, I still prefer the regular version, of course, but this is an enjoyable watch. And if you wanted to show somebody the War Games who might not be able to make it through 10 episodes, like a younger person or someone who watches the modern series, it's a great alternative. I don't like some of the stuff they did, like the Doctor. Okay, the scene where the Doctor gets a chance to pick his future faces needed updating, because just the little cartoon, the little pencil sketches look silly in the original version. They do. These people who are gods, the Time Lords who have the power of gods, and you have pencil sketches, that's silly. It looks silly. That needed updating. And I don't even mind that they did it with future incarnations of the Doctor, but the pictures they chose, the little promotional pics, like her holding the fob watch and him, David Tennant from the 50th where his hair looks wrong. They got lazy doing the pictures. Lazy, when they should have picked better shots, in my opinion. I thought it was neat that they added the sound effect of the War Chief regenerating. Like, I'm not a big fan of the theory of the War Chief being the Master, because I consider them separate characters. Terrence Dix considered them separate characters. But I don't mind the ambiguity of it. I don't even mind them playing the Master's theme, the John Sim theme. I don't mind them playing it once or twice, especially that first time when they see each other and the Doctor runs off and the War Chief's just like, stop them! It actually works there. It actually works. It works. And if they'd only played it maybe one more time after that, it'd be fine. But I swear they play it like 73 more times and it gets tedious. I even like the fact they snuck in Delgado's theme that one time when him and the Doctor are talking privately, so they think in the room. I like that they snuck Delgado's theme in there. My biggest problem is just that the Sim theme was overly used. Like, if they just used it a couple times, that'd have been fine. Again, I don't buy that he's the Master, but I don't mind that they snuck it in there for this edit. And again, I think them doing the regeneration sound as his body's starting to be dragged off is a nice little touch. I kind of wish you could see maybe somewhere on him starting to glow, but the way the camera works, you can't really see. But hearing it's pretty neat. I like that. I like the new ending, too, where you actually see him regenerate from, Confession Dial? Is that it? Is that his name's ending? It looks really good. That's so well done of seeing Troughton regenerate into Pertwee. I think I like the original YouTube version of it maybe slightly better because I think the music's better for that, which I think is actually some of the 13th Doctor era music. But the version that's on here is also really good, and it does a couple things I like better, like the Tardis console being white instead of green, which it should be. I'm a firm believer that the Tardis console in the 60s was white, because that's what it was intended to be. But I like that ending a lot. It works. I enjoy it. It's a good watch. It's a nice... I don't mind having alternative ways to watch Doctor Who. It's always nice to have options. And again, especially since that colorization looks so good, It's a great alternate way to watch the story. Next on the list is Terror of the Autons. Speaking of the Master, his very first story. Robert Holmes returns, goat that he is, and that first scene where you meet the Master establishes him perfectly. Roger Delgado just kills it. Like immediately that first scene. I am usually referred to as the Master. Is that so? Universally. And how he, hypnotizes him and then turn around and just... This is a guy who's used to being obeyed. Let's go. Perfect introduction to him. I will admit the scene when the other Time Lord in the top hat who's floating in the air visiting him that's so corny to me. I mean, it's not bad. It's just so corny. I have trouble taking it seriously. But I enjoy the story, even if the ending is the Master goes all this work to bring the Autons here just for the Doctor to go, this might not be a good idea, though, kill you two, just for the Master to go, oh yeah, seems a little too easy. I much prefer the version of this on the Season 8 box set with the updated special effects, since most of the special effects are really just cleaning up the CSO and making it look tighter, because the original version does look a little rough and plated just because of the dated technology used. So, clearing up and cleaning up just CSO fringing and stuff like that helps a lot, making the backgrounds look a little better. Making the little rubber doll thing look a little more solid. It just makes the story match probably what they originally envisioned it to look like. Although the original version is still fun to watch too. I like the story. I like the Autons. I don't think it's quite as good as Spearhead, which we'll get to. But I think it's a solid start for Season 8 and a very good story overall. Next on the list, just slightly above it, Spearhead from Space. The first Doctor Who story in color. That's not a Cushing movie. The introduction of 70s Doctor Who, the introduction of the Third Doctor, the introduction of Liz Shaw, and bringing the Brigadier and Unit in as regulars. I really like Spearhead. It is a great way to do a soft reboot, so good that Rose would use a very similar template later to kick off the modern series. I like the fact that the Third Doctor's up and moving pretty quick. He's sidelined a little bit in episode 1, but that's about it. He gets up and moving pretty fast. I like this new version of the Doctor. I think John is great in the role. I love Liz Shaw in this. This is my favorite story with Liz in it. I just love how Carolyn plays her. I like how snarky she is. Oh, it's not a police box. It's a spaceship. I love how snarky she is in this. I love the way she's written in this story. I like the Brigadier in this. His mustache looks much better than it does later. That little trim mustache. This is peak Brigadier mustache. We're measuring the important things here on the stories at this point. The color looks good. This is arguably the best looking classic Doctor Who episode since it is shot entirely on film. The only classic Doctor Who that is shot entirely on film, thus the only one in true HD. It looks gorgeous. It looks like a James Bond movie from the 60s. It looks really good. I like the way it looks. Again, the incidental music sounds great. I love the scene with the Autons waking up and busting out of the window shops, even though you don't technically see that. They do a good job with the editing. And when they're shooting people in the streets, I feel really bad for, Ransom, is that his name? The guy who gets away the first time only to get killed in the tent later. He looks terrified. The guy who is with the glasses, who's kind of enslaved with the thing on his ear, he's doing a good job. The guy who's playing the kind of leader of the Autons, the one that looks human, that guy is great. I swear he never blinks. He just looks inhuman. Something about the way he looks at you, great acting. Great acting. It's a good story with a nice ending. The tendrils wrapping around Pertwee at the end are a little over the campy, shall we say, but it's a minor thing. The cliffhanger, I think it's a cliffhanger when the general opens the door and there's the fake general walking in. That's a good one. I'm trying to remember if that's a cliffhanger or not. It's a solid story though. Absolutely love Spearhead in Space. Next on the list is Cults. Oh, man. I don't know if this one is ranked too high or not. I really like it, but I don't know how it will hold up on a listen. Basically, this is an audio story where the 7th Doctor and Ace end up in World War II, and they accidentally cause shenanigans they kind of have to fix, which creates an alternate future reality where the Germans won World War II because they discovered Ace's boombox. And this is the story that introduces Klein, the original version of Klein, who's from the German future. And then she is traveling back in time to ensure that future happens. It's really good. I like how well Klein is written. I like how Ace is written. I like how the Doctor is written. And I like how a bunch of the other side characters in this are written. Just go check it out yourself. It's a solid Big Finish story. And next on the list is The Time Warrior, John Pertwee's only historical story. And it is a great one. I really like this one. Again, Robert Holmes penning a fantastic story, the introduction to the Centaurans, and the very first story to feature Sarah Jane Smith, who's, of course, my personal favorite companion. And I think, so often we think of 4 with Sarah, and they're amazing together. But 3 and Sarah are really good together, too. I really like Pertwee and Elizabeth Sladen together. And it's neat that she doesn't know the Doctor yet, and it doesn't even trust him while she's still trying to sort out what's going on when she ends up in the past. And her thinking the Doctor's even responsible and planning a raid to capture him. It's really solid. I like the location work in this a lot. I like the scene when Sarah and John first meet. Not only is it just a good scene in its own right, but especially if you're someone that's used to Sarah Jane from the modern series and Sarah Jane Adventures, seeing that first scene and knowing this is him meeting Sarah makes it such a heartwarming moment. And then him realizing that it's, she's pretending to be her aunt, and him realizing it's not her. I like that bit at the offing when he's just like, bye-bye. I like the guy with the glasses who gets sent to the past, who has used fake. I like him. The guy playing, Irongrad or whatever it is, the kind of other main antagonist, the human main antagonist, he's good. Like him a lot. Love the cliffhanger with him with the axe. And I'm fine with watching this one with the original effects or the updated effects. I do think the bit when the building blows up at the end looks rubbish, and with both the stock footage in the original and the very obvious CGI in the special edition, or the updated effects, both look a bit rubbish. But which one I watch it with is kind of just whichever one I'm in the mood for. I probably prefer it slightly more with the updated effects, but I'm fine watching it without them. Again, whichever one takes me. This is also my favorite Centauran story. I think it's the best one. The guy who plays Lynx in it's really good. I think he also played the Centauran in Centauran Experiment. He's really good here. I like the fact this story does a good job showing how tough a Centauran is in physical battle. Because he fights the 3rd Doctor. Action, karate, martial arts, fighting Doctor here. Of all the Doctors, the one that's the most fightingest fights the Centauran and loses. The Centauran basically knocks him out and is about to get away. And I think that's very telling that Action Doctor can't even fight the Centauran one-on-one. It does a good job of showing how dangerous a Centauran can be in physical combat in a way that I think most Doctor Who stories with them don't show, and I like that. And the fact it's just the fact he happens to get hit by an arrow in his pubic vent at the end, that stops him. I enjoy this one. It's always a fun watch. Not one I go back to a lot, not because it isn't great, it is great, but because it's one of those top shelf fine wines you just want to savor every now and then when you're in the mood to treat yourself. That's The Time Warrior for me. A great start to season 11, and a great introduction to Sarah Jane Smith. And next on the list is the Macra Terra. Now, if you watch my channel, it's no surprise to you to know that I love the Macra Terra. This is the one Doctor Who story where if they never find the original episodes, I'm okay with that because they probably won't live up to the animation. This is the one time where I think the animation would be better than the original episodes. The creative liberties they took with this animation really punched the story up. And the fact that this is easily the best looking animation post Power of the Daleks. Arguably overall even. The only one really giving it a contest is the Moonbase. But you can tell they spent some money on this, and they really need to get Sun and Moon Studios involved in. Sun and Moon Studios, of course, heavily involved with this production. And there is just so much more. This seems like it had a bigger budget than the ones we've gotten since. I love the fluidity of movement in the characters, in the animation. They have a natural movement to it. The way the body moves, the hands move, the facial expressions, the heads when they're turning. Feels very fluid, very realistic. I like that. I like how expressive the faces are. They've never quite captured that sense to me. And the black and white and color versions of this story are both very good. They're very different experiences to me, but very good. They have a different feel to them tonally. It's really hard to explain, but if I watch it in black and white and if I watch it in color, they impact me a bit differently. And I don't prefer one over the other. It really is more just which one I'm more in the mood to watch at the time. Sometimes I'm more in the mood for the black and white version, which I will point out is still in 16:9, unlike some of the later ones where they cropped the black and white to 4:3. Macra, the black and white version, is still in 16:9. And sometimes I'm more in the mood to watch the color version. Both are fantastic watches. And I like the story, a very dystopian, Orwellian take, very 1984, of this place looks like a happy little colony, but look below the surface and there's dark things going on. Again, a very important lesson, I think, for children. It's like, how do we do 1984 for children? And this is kind of it. I think the performances are good from what we can gather from the audio. I have watched the Telesnap Recon as well, which is enjoyable. Not as good as the animation. And I think they do a good job for taking what would be a B story. Even if the episode survived, I think this would just be a B story, considering the production looked very budgeted, let us say, and elevating the material. I think the Macra has been reassessed in the past few years since the animation came out, and I do think it's because the animation for this one is so good, how they changed the Macra to make them look more intimidating when you see them in the shadows, or you just see those eyes of theirs peeking out of the shadows, like the cliffhanger to part 1, or around the cliffhanger, I think, to part 3. I like how they change where Fraser doesn't find the one guy's body, he just finds his goggles. I like that. What happened to the body? I enjoyed, if not all, most of the changes made in this. It's a very enjoyable watch. And that wouldn't be the case if it wasn't for this animation. So, yeah, the Macra, definitely high up on my list. So, I want to know what you think of all the ones we've talked about today and how you would rank them, and if they'd be in your top 100. Comment down below and let's talk about it. All the other fun stuff down in the description of the video. I have my P.O. box down there if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. I just got a fantastic Tom Baker 4th Doctor statue from fellow Doctor Who channel Tardis Spider recently, which I appreciate. So that's down there. I also have a link to the Amazon wishlist and the Amazon UK wishlist down there. A link to the Patreon is down there. If you would like to support me on that, always nice to see new patrons joining. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, Unknown289, Finn Perkins, and Androzani Major. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. Most importantly, thank you for watching.